Hey, how's it going, everybody? Indie Pride here, showing off the Tomb Kings tonight, who are now available on the workshop in a mod created by Haradream. And that is a Hierotitan casually strolling through the deserts of Nehekhara, a gigantic Tomb Kings construct with access to Shem's Burning Gaze and Spirit Leech, and apparently a whole lot more, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But naturally, the filthy Bretonnians are on crusade, so 3 Tomb Kings armies have been summoned to defend the ancient pyramids in the land of the dead. As I've covered before in my Lore Army and Tactics video back on Halloween, the Tomb Kings are a very different style of undead from the vampire counts of Sylvania. The embalming process and work of the Lich Priest does a much better job preserving the soul and essence of Nehekharans. So when their souls are summoned to reanimate constructs and long dead pile of bones like these Ushabti, they maintain flickers of memory and their past life, and have much more mobility and coordination as a result, especially when compared to the hastily summoned meatbags of the vampire counts. And which means they can field gigantic bone giants wielding bows and arrows with 650 missile damage, which is insane. That is a lot. That is very scary, enough to bring down demigryphs or Grail Guardians in a single shot. And of course, chariots are a big part of the Tomb Kings roster as well. One of the few factions in Warhammer Fantasy that can bring chariots as a core troop choice and field a lot of them at the same time as well. The chariots are not so good against a heavy cavalry faction like Bretonnia, so we purposely dialed that back on that front and decided to go for more infantry and more gigantic animated constructs, which is really what I think makes the Tomb Kings very unique and special. Obviously, they're still lacking a bunch of their roster right now. Modding on Total War Warhammer is pretty limited, as I'm sure you all are aware. You can't import models or create them from scratch, so everything you see currently is basically just a kit bash or retexture of already available assets, but I still think that it looks really good, all things considered. Oakley High Def was being a douchebag with his Grail Guardians, trying to bait out our very limited ammunition from our Necrolith Colossi, and he was doing a pretty good job of dodging our shots until we decided to tell him to stop moving with a net of Ammontok. And now some Tomb Kings Chariots slamming into the flank of the Grail Guardians, and we got some nice shots in on those guys as well, popping another net of Ammontok. So, let's talk about the Hierotitan for a second. It's been implemented kind of strangely in this mod. I don't hate it, but it's not particularly lore-friendly or tabletop-friendly, if that's something you care about. So, the Hierotitan is not actually a lord choice in tabletop like it is in this mod. In fact, right now, it's the only lord choice you have with the Tomb Kings in this mod. There's no Cetra or Khalida at the moment, but it's technically a rare choice, so similar in nature to a Necrosphinx or Bone Giant, not something that should be leading armies, and it also doesn't have access to the entire Lore of Light and Lore of Death in the Codex. It can only use Shem's Burning Gaze or Spirit Leech, but in this mod, they are dual casters with those entire lores at their disposal, and you're trying to use that to its fullest potential right now, punishing the cockiness of the Bretonnian cavalry. But let's take a look at the armies of the Bretonnians now, moving up past the Nehekharan Pyramids. Grail Reliquae bouncing along on the ground looking hilarious as they usually do, and a bunch of battle pilgrims to back them up. Foot Squires as well. And through the trees you can see a flicker of etherealness. That is the Green Knight, the Uniter. He is going to be a problem to deal with, although he's not amazing against what we have on the field because all of our lords have Spirit Leech, which does a lot of damage to the Green Knight, being an ethereal caster, or not a caster, an ethereal unit with a pretty low HP pool. Spirit Leech will put the hurt on him for sure. Grail Guardians from Oakley still being really annoying. I feel like you're just trolling us at this point. I mean, he has wasted a lot of our Winds of Magic on these Grail Guardians, making us miss a lot of our shots with the Bone Giants and use our Winds of Magic to try to tie them down. I don't even know if the damage we've done to them has been worth it. Let's take a quick look and ascend this pyramid, get a nice look at the top of this thing as well. It's a nice little touch there. It'll be so much better when we get Tomb Kings assets and Lizardmen assets and all these other things to make awesome custom maps. I cannot wait, not just for the factions themselves, but for the assets that will then get added to the custom battle scenario maker. That's Carcassonne, the army of the Fey Enchantress, flanked by her Grail Knights and riding her Unicorn Silveron. She will be a Lore of Life caster, which will be pretty annoying in these grinded out melee fests with the Bretonnians. But a lot of our units cause terror, so it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I mean, both armies have a lot of things that hard counter each other. The Bretonnians have a lot of stuff that grant immunity to psychology, which makes terror and fear ineffective. But we have a lot of Tomb Guard halberds for dealing with heavy cavalry, and can basically delete the Green Knight if we still have the Winds of Magic to cast Spirit Leech, which might be a problem, actually, considering how much we've already cast Net of Amantok. Again, pouring in the fire on these Grail Guardians. You can see every single time the Necrolith Colossi land a shot on one of those Grail Guardians, they drop. 650 missile damage will do that. There is nothing in the game, nothing in the game that's part of a unit that isn't a single entity that can survive a shot like that. I don't think. That is so much missile damage. But here come the Tomb Swarms to soak up the charge of the Grail Guardians and the Hierotitan. Getting into melee, one thing you will notice, it has the animations of a regular Lord. It's kind of cool. I kind of like it. It gives him a lot more mobility and a lot more flexibility. It's kind of cool seeing him do those big-time Lord animations, but just at a much grander scale. I don't know if it's more accurate. Of course, it's not going to be able to add animations to the mod. But the Tomb Guard and the Grail Pilgrims are going to collide here now. Halberds moving into melee with the front line of Grail Pilgrims. And this will be an interesting fight. There won't be any immunity to psychology over on the left flank. Grail Reliquae not anywhere near to buff them up. But we definitely should have a melee advantage in this fight. The question is going to be, as we see Wrath of Manon from Elbrick, Bordelot, getting a nice shot in there with his unique special ability. The question is whether the Bretonnian cavalry will be able to get around the flank and do the damage required to keep the peasants still in the fight. Those peasant archers are getting torn up, and that looks like a purple sun of Xerius, and get banished to the Netherrealm Sun. That is a nice cast of it there. It actually got a lot of those 3 units, just kind of sending them up into the air, showering the ground with blood, and that is a cool looking spell. Don't get to see Purple Sun utilized very often, but that was pretty nice. And Banishment going off as well. So yeah, we have used a lot of Winds of Magic on those Vortexes and the Net of Amantok. Not sure if we're going to have enough magic left over to cast Spirit Leech on the Green Knight, but the Green Knight really not super effective, as I get a nice Net of Amantok over on the cavalry on the right flank. The Green Knight isn't great against factions like the Tomb Kings or the Vampire Counts, because they're all immune to psychology as well. They can't get terrified, they can't get feared, so it doesn't really matter. That's a big reason why you bring the Green Knight, is to cause chain routing with the terror that he inspires. So again, not the best choice, but he will be able to do a lot of damage. Over on this side, my Tomb Guard Halberds are doing work against those Questing Knights and the Royal Pegasus Air Force, cutting them to pieces. And that is going to be a nice engagement for us. I was pretty happy with that Net of Amantok, but again, cast that so much that we're probably not going to have a lot of Winds of Magic left for other spells. I'm going to do a little bit of shifty, crafty camera work here to make sure that frame rate doesn't get too bad here. And this is a pretty epic battle line we got going right now. We got 3 armies spread out all across in between the Nehekharan Pyramids, fighting to the death, or undeath for the Tomb Kings, I should say. The Men-at-Arms and the Tomb Guard are going at it, and I do expect the Tomb Guard to be able to win. Another Purple Sun of Xerius going off. Again, getting quite a few models there, throwing them into the air and jibbing them. Very nice, and some pox arrows getting fired in as well. So the question is, can our monsters get into the cavalry and take them out before they can get into our rear and get those juicy hammers and anvils off? So far, we've done a pretty good job of neutralizing the cavalry with the just constant Net of Amantoks. Tomb Halberds doing work, and a Purple Sun, another Purple Sun going off here. I don't know how we're casting that many spells, honestly. That was like the 5th Vortex spell, like the 7th Net of Amantok we've used. Maybe I'm just judging it very poorly, but look at that Hierotitan. Nice AoE attack there. And he is just going off right now, slamming those peasants into the ground and anchoring our line very nicely. But the magical trebuchets are beginning to focus him down as well. Nice charge coming in from the Knights Errant and the Questing Knights, backed up by Earthblood from the Lore of Lifecaster. Lewin in there as well. That should be an interesting fight. It's just a cool looking fight, man. We got the crusading Bretonnians, and we've got the undead of basically Egypt, or not Egypt, I should say. And that just looks awesome. It definitely does remind me of the Crusades for sure. Fighting in this custom map as well, the Nehekharan Pyramids. And we get a nice little overview of the battlefield. You can see how the battle lines are spread out. And we are beginning to break the Bretonnian left flank here, which could be big, but we don't have a lot of fast movers, which is one of the problems with the Tomb King army we brought in this one. They do have decent mobility on the tabletop and in this mod as well because of their chariots. But again, we didn't want to go chariot heavy because against the Bretonnia, against all that heavy cav, there's not a whole lot they could do, honestly. They'd get destroyed. Common of Cassandora going off in the background. That looked really cool. And then a bunch of the Bone Giants, and Necrolyth Colossi, and the Hero Titan anchoring the line, wading into melee, and doing what they do best, slaughtering a bunch of Bretonnian scum. But the Grail Knights have made it into the back lines here, beginning to hammer and anvil the main line, see what they can do. And those magical trebuchets actually got a nice friendly fire shot into a Grail Guardian, and I'll follow that up with one of my Tomb Kings, my Tomb Guard with halberds. Grail Guardian's gonna pull out and disengage. Do not want to be dealing with halberds from the front like that. King Lewin still being a nuisance, landing in the flank of some Tomb Guard and pulling away. It is one thing you can do with the fast movers like Lewin. With the high mass, you can even go into bonus versus large units like the halberds and still do a lot of damage and then pull out very quickly before they have the opportunity to strike back. Nice charge into the flank. Beautiful, beautiful charge into the flank of those Tomb Guards with halberds. And the Questing Knights definitely making an impact on the left flank here. What is that? Is that Sword of Corone going off? Yeah, Sword of Corone. So debuff on all of the melee units on that side. And the trebuchets are definitely putting in work for the Bretonnians right now. They've been firing pretty much unmolested this entire game. And we don't have any flyers to deal with it. We don't have fast movers to deal with it either. So they're basically just racking up the kills at the moment. Carcassonne is starting to waver. Oh my god. Wow. That was brutal. A lot of them are going to get back up. But that Hero Titan destroying that group of peasant archers. Wow, that was awesome. And they are going to run, and I don't blame them. Terrified by that gigantic Tomb King's construct. I don't know what accent that was. That was weird. So we've got two Necrolyth Colossi near the pyramid in the shadow of Nehekhara, slaughtering stuff. And the Tomb Guard are continuing their inexorable push up the center. But the Bretonnian cavalry is swarming as well. And they will be looking to get some nice strikes in on our infantry. Where are they going to go, though? See this very expansive battlefield opening up now. Battle lines shifting a lot. And Hero Titan is a big part of that, pushing those Bretonnian lines backwards and just kind of shattering them as they move into the center. They are making quite a big impact on this game. Nice shot from the magical trebuchet there. Holy water dousing our undead troops. Well, those are some beautiful shots right there. King Lewin still flying overhead, looking for a target, and he could be going for the Hero Titans. We'll have to be careful, make sure he doesn't snipe our lords. And that is important to remember. The Tomb Kings in this mod and in the lore do deal with crumbling. So if they lose their Hierophant, which is their Tomb King's caster, basically their leader, if they lose that, they do begin to crumble. And so certainly in this mod as well, if you lose your Hierophant early on, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be dealing with a lot of crumbling. Comet of Cassadora going down, and it's actually going to completely whiff. Actually, that was probably... That's not Comet. That's the Fey Enchantress Chalice of Potions or whatever. Her bound spell. But it's basically a Comet. She has 3 uses of those. Green Knight getting tied up in his own Knights Errant. And he is going to be looking to snipe down one of those lords. I believe that's Goldfish's lord, so he was one of my teammates. And... yeah, that Hero Titan does not look like he has much HP left. And the Uniter could easily take him down with 1 or 2 attacks with the Dolorous Blade. I have to be very careful. And Alberich is very low as well, but we're going to have to worry about that crumbling here. Our Hero Titan's starting to take a lot of damage. Nice charge from the Bordelot Cavalry, smashing through a bunch of the Tomb King's infantry. And the Grail Reliquary is nearby. We'll be buffing up these peasants, making sure they don't rout, keeping them immune to psychology, immune to the terror that will begin to take hold if that Reliquary disappears. Lewin coming in from the flank now. Nice shot from the magical trebuchet as well. And Lewin and Bakey's going straight for the Lord. He's going to have to book it, and he is. Nice. Ooh, very nice. Just barely getting some infantry in time to tie down Lewin and the Green Knight before his Lord goes down. These magical trebuchets keep hitting our Hero Titans, and we are successfully tying him down for now, but I think that his Lord is going to be going down soon if he's not careful. I don't know how he's going to keep him alive from a flyer like Lewin who has all that mobility. You could just land on top of his head and end him rightly. Ooh, pull away, pull away. Oh, that was so close. And he's actually continuing to push forward here. There's a lot of mobility. You'll notice with those leaping bound attacks, he can kind of cover a lot of space. And they only have 40 move speed, I think. But because they're so huge, it seems like they just cover a lot more ground than other units. I don't know. Maybe the speed is the only thing that matters, but I feel like 40 move speed for a giant is different than 40 move speed for a smaller unit, if you know what I mean, because they can cover so much space with each step. Hero Titan gonna go down to, I don't even know, like a peasant or something. And now that Lord is dead, so Crumbling is gonna begin setting in on Goldfish's army. You can see some wavering on the main line, and the Grail Guardians and the Grail Knights coming in from the rear. Nice charge into the back of these halberds, but they'll be able to turn around and start dealing some bonus versus large damage. Faye Enchantrée, as Oakley would like to say, the Faye Enchantress is fighting in the middle of all of these Tomb Guard. She's making good account of herself right now with her life magic. Green bursts of energy smashing those Tomb Guard in the face. And Spirit Leech going off on Lewin. He looks to be in a bad spot, surrounded by halberds and a bunch of Tomb King's constructs, getting bullied, pushed around right now, and he's gonna go down. Bakis and King Lewin are dead. That is a big deal, because that means that the map-wide immune to psychology that would have been there for a little bit after he dropped below 50% leadership is gonna be gone now. Or at least I believe it's gone once King Lewin dies. So lots of wavering and routing on the Bretonnian line. But there is still some cavalry left, a handful of Grail Guardians over here. You still see Gilles Le Breton still moving around. And actually another Hero Titan going down as well. So the only one left on the field is mine, I believe. Two of the Hero Titans are dead. Lots of crumbling now for the Tomb Kings, but lots of wavering for the Bretonnians as well. Their cav is still in the fight, and they're still buffed up by the Fae Enchantress. More of Lifecaster on Silveron, coming in to reinforce. But a Tomb King's construct is looking to squish her into the dirt like the little ant she is. That cav is doing a lot of work against the Tomb King's infantry, though. And the battle has just gotten so spread out. It was a massacre. Quick battle, about 15 minutes, and everything was dying. You see some of Cetra's personal guardians right here fighting the Uniter in close combat. I don't know if they're worth it. They cost like 1,400 or 1,500 gold. Only have 6 models. They do have pretty crazy regeneration. And I think they have AoE attacks as well. So they have pretty ridiculous stats, but when you only have 6 models on a unit, I don't know if they're worth it. But certainly I need a lot more experience with this mod. This was the only battle I've played with the mod so far. Definitely enjoyed it so far. Balance bar shifting super far into the Tomb King's favor, and they are going to take it. That's only going to be Gilles Le Breton, the Uniter, the Green Knight left alive to fight the horrors of the Tomb Kings in Nehekhara. So we'll make a quick cut and see his final stand here. Surrounded by the constructs, getting smashed, and he will fall. Shadow Steed 2. That's a lot of stuff just smashing on him right now. And yeah, I would think with all these stuff, yeah, he's gonna go down. And that will be the end of the battle. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm sure you've already seen this mod on the workshop. I think Oakley and Jackie Fish and a few others have already made videos about the Tomb Kings, but I wanted to add a little bit of my own perspective to the mod, talk about the lore a little bit, talk about the units and their role in the tabletop and how it's been translated so far. Obviously, this is not, I mean, modders are going to be very limited in what they're able to do, but I think that the mod looks pretty amazing. There's some really cool looking units, and I like some of the implementation as well. So you can see the kills here for our factions. The Hero Titans each got over 120 kills. They did work for us, and they caused terror. So they're definitely a very nice unit. With they're basically dual casters that can also wade into melee and kill a lot of stuff there as well. So what's not to love, right? The Ushabti did all right. The Bone Giants did okay. They killed a lot of Grail Guardians with their long-range attacks, but they're not super accurate. They can be baited out pretty easily, as Oakley demonstrated with his micro, until we then have Ammon talk to them, of course. And then they started taking some model casualties. And then across the way, the Grail Guardians for Oakley did quite a lot of damage. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll see you next time. Any Pride signing out for now.